What is up, all of you good boys and non-boys? Welcome to 2023. We're back here with Erico Blueberry. It's an Unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is chillybin.
Meckii, back from the dead.
Yes. Well, no. In a sense. We'll get to that. I'm like still reeling from the intro and me trying to like self-correct as I just said good boys and then was like, wait, that's only one thing. We'll get to the good boy protocol. We here at Erico Blueberry, we observe the good boy protocol. We will pet the good boy. But we'll get to that. It's been a minute. What is going on?
Where do I start?
Let's start with the elephant in the room. The last episode we did was like mid-December. And then I think we both just got very busy with, end of year holiday period type stuff. And then your computer proceeded to melt down.
Yes. My computer just decided to not turn on one day. So that was weeks and lots of money of trying to figure out why it would not turn on, and then just, giving up the ghost and being like, just gonna get a new PC for now. So just for the first time in my life, invested in a pre-built. I usually don't go the pre-built route, and it's just a low-profile ATX pre-built. It's not too shabby, 3060 i7, and it's about the same size as a PS5. I was actually genuinely surprised when I opened the box.
You sent me a picture of it. I was like, okay, that's surprisingly capable for what looks like, a little box, just a little guy.
Yeah, well, it was deceptive because they shipped it. So they had a box in a box situation going on. And JB Hi-Fi obviously don't want to send things that get smashed. So the outer box had a bunch of foam that held the inner box in place, and then the inner box, so the MSI branded box, also had foam. So I was like, oh, this thing is a lot bigger than I thought. Wasn't bothered by that because
they've just done the classic parent Christmas bamboozle of putting the small present in the big box.
The Matryoshka dolls of PCs.
Yeah.
And I was like, because my last PC was huge. It's a full tower. So we've renamed my last PC Chungus, and then this one is Little Guy TM. Just a little guy.
Great. Yep.
So when you try and connect to my PC on my smart home system, it's just Little Guy TM on the bottom.
I mean, I think you saw this when I came up to Brisbane. I brought my portable Bluetooth speaker with me, which is a red cylinder that I called Red Tube. Except no, that one was Red Tube 2 because I had a previous red similar speaker that I called Red Tube, and this was the sequel.
Red Tube 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been pretty good. Running smoothly.
But you only got that PC this week?
2 days ago. Yeah.
Q downloading everything.
Yeah. I very much was in the mindset of not sitting there and trying to remember everything I needed to download or what I had on my old PC.
Yeah.
I very much just been Discord first and foremost.
Yeah.
Sitting through hours of updates. Just
and
Windows
and going through that loop of you need to do this update before you can do this one, and then that means you've got another, and you're just chaining these updates for a whole day.
MSI Utility Center needed to install and then update.
Those fucking tools, man.
I don't mind it because it lets me control the RGBs and everything. Because
I hate them when you've got 3 or 4 different manufacturers' parts in your computer, and you're like, I need all of this software to manage this shit, and they don't line up together. What are we doing?
The nice thing about getting a pre-built is it's all the same.
It's all the same, yeah.
It's all the same. It's all linked in. They've already got it organized. And then on top of that, as part of the package, I got a mouse and keyboard. So everything talks to each other. I can sync the lights across everything. It's really nice that way. But it was MSI Utility Center needs to download and install. I'm sick. Oh, now it needs to update.
Yeah.
Cool. And then Windows was by the way, Windows 11, time to update. And I was I don't want to. And it's guess what? you're going to. So it's like, obviously my PC's been sitting on the shelves in JB Hi-Fi for 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. It's,
So I had 6 months worth of fucking updates
yeah,
to catch up with.
it's like when you get a like I've heard tales of parents buying kids game consoles, and nowadays what that means is what you should do is take it out of the box before Christmas, do all the updates and installs, and then put it back in the box, because otherwise that's your Christmas day, is fucking just downloading updates, and everyone else is trying to do the same thing.
I think this generation of kids, like our generation's kids, are set when it comes to Christmas because like the night before Christmas, um, my Instagram story feed was just full of parents updating consoles
Yes.
and installing games on consoles. Like, there's like one of my friends has 3 kids and they're like 4, 5, and 9.
Yeah.
So he had to update and install games on a PS5, and then update and install games on a Switch, and then update and install games on like an iPad.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he had all 3 of them going in his computer, like
Just
his PC room, on different monitors, because then he could lock the door just in case the kids wake up and try and come in, and he's just sitting there updating everything.
Just
like,
true gamer hours.
all right, this one wants Minecraft and Fortnite. Now that it's updated, gonna install that. Oh, okay. This one wants Animal Crossing and Pokemon. It's so funny. But yeah, it's been good. I've been able to play Destiny on like high graphics, which I haven't been able to do for a while. My last PC wasn't quite powerful enough to. So I did, the old first thing you do when you get a new GPU, a new PC, which is load up your favorite game and just crank everything up to high and see how it goes.
Oh yeah. Like go and run whatever like this fucking subclass has the most explosions on screen per second. I think like for a Titan, it's probably Void, like with the volatile and all the stuff popping off, and those sorts of things.
My first graphics test wasn't Destiny.
Okay, what was it?
I betrayed Destiny for a brief second.
That's fine. There are more graphically demanding games than Destiny.
I installed and loaded up Death Stranding.
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
And then just walked around for 45 minutes with the graphics cranked up high, and I was just like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, no,
zooming in on Norman Reedus' face,
I've played that on some high graphics settings. There's a lot going on in there on the PC version.
Yeah. What the fuck? There's blades of grass in this game.
Yeah.
And they move with the wind. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Norman Reedus' hair moves with the wind as well. What the fuck?
The one that like I think my version of that, like having graphics cards with the ray tracing stuff enabled on them, is Control. The way that they fuck around with colored lighting and the ray tracing stuff, it's still some of the best looking video game I've ever seen.
For me, I had a what the fuck? Like, I had a few like whoa moments with Death Stranding, but for me was just standing there and the wind blowing through, and the little like dream catcher on Sam's backpack was just moving in the breeze as well, and I was like,
my microphone.
Or like when you stop running, it swings back and forth, and then if you turn around and you move the little ludens that's tied to the front of BB, that swings around as well, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm just making a note when I go to edit this to fucking mute my microphone at that timestamp, because it's a very sensitive microphone, and I just essentially backhanded it. Yeah, I heard it. It was unpleasant.
And then going into Destiny and seeing some of these like shaders and armor sets and stuff I use every day, but have only been playing in medium level graphics.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know the stag had like bone marks like in the face, like it has like little chips and pock marks like bone does. I was like, what the future is now.
Yeah, welcome to gaming.
So good.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Speaking of Windows 11, weirdly, I like during the time between episodes, I've been having bizarre issues that I've never experienced before with that seem to be related to my graphics card, which is a 3080 Ti. So like not an old card by any stretch, but hasn't happened in a while, touch wood. But I think this is back when I think you were still had a working PC. Like I would get graphics crashes to the point where my entire system would lock up because it thought my graphics card had been removed while I was doing stuff. And so of course Destiny would crash. In some cases my entire system would crash. Because there were just enough like system level errors happening that it was like, what the fuck is happening? And like I've updated some drivers and things like that, but I was just scrambling to figure this out. And so one of the things I did was update to Windows 11 because all I did was update my motherboard BIOS for it to be compatible. And then I was like, maybe this is it. I don't know. I'm just updating everything at this point. Turns out Windows 11 is pretty nice and like has a lot of features that I was using like Windows Power Toys to do certain things with like window snapping, and that's just a part of Windows 11 now, so that's kind of nice. But that was like I did a similar thing of like when I did that upgrade, a bunch of shit became uninstalled because my hard drives got somewhat unrecognized by the system, so I had to like reset up all of my game libraries. So like all my Steam shit was basically gone. My like Xbox Game Pass install location got weirdly corrupted, so I had to like fucking rip that out and like format a hard drive, which scared the shit out of me. And so that wasn't fun. And then it was also that thing of like I don't have spare parts lying around to just like test this shit out like I have in the past, and that's always kind of nice.
That was my situation.
Yeah, and it was enough that I started thinking about like how long I've had this PC or like what the oldest part in here is. And then it was like, well, when I moved to Australia in 2013, I brought with me motherboard, CPU, and RAM from this computer I had at home. And I was like, that's easy to transport. I'll just get a new case. I'll build a system around that. Because it was still like pretty decent at the time. And I did that and have basically Frankensteined the PC since then, just swapping out bits and pieces. And thankfully, like Windows 10 meant that if you swapped a motherboard or a CPU, you didn't have to reinstall Windows, which before Windows 10 it did. So I was able to just basically keep the same system running through. So my Windows license key, which is valid for Windows 11, is technically a Windows 7 key that has been upgraded multiple times.
Amazing.
Yeah, but it's just free upgrades every time, so that's nice. But yeah, I am now also at the point of collecting parts to do a brand new fresh build, which I haven't done since 2009. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think you're due for it.
Yeah, especially like those sort of issues, and also it's because like the 3080 Ti that I've got, it's like it's a 2-slot graphics card, but it's heavy and it's sagging, and I don't know if that's causing issues with the slot that it's inserted into. I don't know. Like I'll build a new PC to replace this, and then I will go into like salvage parts out of it, and then like let's really try and figure out what's going on here, because I'm at a point where I can just rip it apart if I need to.
That's plans with my old PC. Is like when I get a chunk of change, just take it to someone and be like, "What the fuck happened? Can you tell me at the very least?" And then if I can afford to repair it, I'm just gonna turn it into a media center or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I can do so much with all of the parts I've got in this existing PC.
I've got an old projector sitting downstairs, and I'm like, it's a HDMI projector, so I'm just like, you know what? I could just plug a projector in it, have a wireless keyboard and mouse, and just stream all my anime and my Netflix and my YouTube and movies.
Well, the other thing you can do, if you've ever fucked with Steam in-home streaming, is you can have your like main gaming PC elsewhere on your network running the game, but it streams it to another computer on your network running Steam, and you're playing it there.
Yeah. So, or like another idea I had is like just getting a wireless keyboard and mouse, and then the nights that I want to hang out with my dog, like Sergey, is I'll just boot up Destiny downstairs on my old PC.
Yeah.
Just play Destiny downstairs with you guys, and you can just deal with the snuffling of Sergey.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, put a microphone right up to his face. That'd be great.
Give him his own headset.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of exciting to be going through that journey. It's less like necessity dictated than I think yours was, but it's also I'm in a position where I can, for example, order a 4090 that is water cooled in an all-in-one loop out of the box. Like, I want it to be quiet but fucking powerful as hell. That's my MO because I
Water, water
water
lock. What was
force,
it? Water
water
force.
force. Yeah,
Ah.
it's so dumb. But the
New Trivium song.
yeah,
Water force.
basically. But it was that thing of like, that level of graphics card. I run 4K monitors. I try to play games at that resolution if I can. 4090 sets me up for that and will last me fucking years because I can run it at lower resolutions if I want better frame rate. And, the performance on these cards is crazy. Like, running it at 4K, 60 minimum. I don't want to go past 4K. Like, it seems needless. Like, the difference between 1080p to 4K or even like 1440p to 4K. Like, you can, well, I can notice that because I've, tried all of them. But I don't think our eyes can perceive past 4K. I think it's just needless marketing bullshit to sell you more stuff.
What's the old Reddit meme that came out around the time of The Hobbit? Human eyes can only see 30 frames per second.
Wrong. It's 50. It's about 55. The refresh
But
rate
it
of
was
human eyes
just
is about
like,
55 hertz.
but just like Reddit kept making it lower and lower every time someone tried to make that
Oh
argument.
yeah,
Like,
because they did that
oh, you can only see
they did
50
that high
frames.
frame rate. Like, it was like 48 frames a second because film is 24, and they
Yeah,
basically
they
just
did the
doubled it.
digital high frame rate and motion blur. So a lot of
Yeah,
people were seeing it in the cinema and being like, "Ugh."
yeah. No, it sucked. I saw that first Hobbit film in the cinema at high frame rate, and it was not good and unnecessary.
So high definition too. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
really don't need to see any of
But
those
the
actors'
thing's like
faces in
now
that
now
high
now it's
definition.
all now it's all come full circle. The new iPhones, they shoot video at 24 frames a second to give you a cinematic look. Who gives a shit? It's dumb.
Yeah, and like James Cameron being like, "Oh yeah, we took frames out in
Yeah.
Avatar 2 because it felt too smooth
Yeah.
and like people were getting uncanny
Yeah, it
valleyed
turns
with
out you
it.
don't need these
So
crazy cameras that
we
you
made it a
put
low.
money into R&D for. Like, get rid of that shit.
We put a whole bunch of money into the animation, but then we put no money into the frame rate." And I'm
Mm-mm.
like, okay.
Yes. So yeah, here at Erico Blueberry, apparently 2023 is the year of further enriching our enclosures, which I've also done in a couple of other ways. My microphone now, instead of being like on an arm over the top of my monitor, which I'd sometimes catch shadows off these lights, it's now on a low profile arm down in front of me. I wonder if you can see it here. Here it is.
Yeah.
So that's a lot easier to deal with.
Or capturing farts.
I mean, I would just have to like change the angle because there's a bit too directional to just pick it up.
Everyone
Just check
tips
this
it.
out. Yeah, I would have to mute because it'll make noise if I move it around too much. And then I also swapped out I finally got rid of my fucking secret lab bullshit gamer chair. Stop buying gamer chairs. They're a fucking scam. They're not good for you.
So it turns out terrible for your posture regardless.
Yeah. Like, do not buy them. Yes, they're cheap. Yes, they look like car racing seats. They're not designed to sit in for fucking hours on end. Get rid of them.
Just quickly, so at my job, I won't say what I do, but someone at my job is like a fitness expert.
Mm-hmm.
And his specialty is movement and flexibility.
Okay.
So his whole goal is to get people not only stronger but more flexible because the human body is actually meant to be quite flexible.
Yeah.
I was having issues with my traps, and he said a lot of people don't realize that a lot of their neck issues and trap issues are from glute and lower muscle. He's like, you got to think that is all pulling that stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
So if your lower back is locked up or those muscles along your spine are locked up, it's going to pull everything because they all feed into each other.
Makes sense.
So he was checking my lower back and he was just like pushing on the muscles, and then he figured out what muscles were locked up. And he stood up and stood in front of me and he goes, "Do you got one of those gaming chairs?" And I went, "How do you know?" And he goes, "One, take that lumbar support directly off that chair right now. Take the headrest off it right now. because it's pushing your spine into an S shape. And he's like, the muscles in the middle of your back are so tight because it's not only trying to accommodate for your lower back, it's trying to accommodate for your shoulders and your neck being pushed forward.
Yeah, and also like the way that is shaped around your shoulders, it's like pushing your shit in.
It pushes me like this.
I heard it.
Pushing your shit in. It pushes my shoulders, rip audio listeners. It pushes my shoulders and my neck forward and down.
Yeah.
And then I have to look up at a monitor.
Yeah.
But like just by looking at my lower back and the middle of my back and which muscles were working harder than the rest, he was like, "You've got a gaming chair with one of those lumbar pillows in it, don't you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yep." And he goes, "When you get home, I want you to tip the chair forward because they're all naturally tipped this way. And the reason they're all naturally tipped that way is to make the lumbar support feel like it's doing something."
Yeah.
But he's like, if you tip that base forward, that lumbar support doesn't need to be used because your back is naturally
I used
doing
to
that.
change the angle on the back to be pretty upright to kind of get that. Like it would never really tilt forward, but it was enough that I was like, okay, it's pushing me forward and up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but I've taken the extreme solution, which is to save up for a while and buy a fucking Herman Miller Aeron, however you pronounced Aeron.
Aeron. Ass.
Yeah, and that turned up this week, and I'm still in the process of like fine-tuning all the different fucking adjustments I've got, but it does have forward tilt in the fact that like the whole thing kind of rocks forward and the like bit I sit on actually leans forward, so it's like really getting me fucking upright. Let's see if I can. Where is it? There. What? I'm right in here now. This is me in forward tilt mode, which I might start calling gamer mode.
Lock it in, boys.
Yeah, it's time to raid. But the thing is, right, I work from home most of the time. So, you know, rounded up 8 hours a day, I'm sitting here using a keyboard and mouse on these same screens. And then I will clock off, maybe go have dinner, and then I'll come back to this chair and play a bunch of video games or whatever in the same seat. So fuck gamer chairs. They're bad for you. The thing is, like, my Secret Lab chair was maybe like $500 when I got it. Like, this chair, granted, $3,000 as a point of comparison. There are chairs in the middle of that do more of what this does. Just
apparently the like, mesh IKEA chair is like pretty comparable.
And yeah, so like
the quality is lower.
Mesh was a big thing I wanted to get because what I was finding, especially in summer, it gets quite hot in Australia, if you haven't heard. You know, this like dense foam wrapped in fake leather would just trap all the body heat that I was putting out and then reflect it back at me. And it's just fucking uncomfortable. But this is a nice, like, fully mesh situation. There's no headrest, so I have to actually engage my neck to support my head, you know, what it's designed to do. And it's
made to hold head up.
And the thing is, like, if you know you're going to be sitting in the same chair for that kind of extended period of time, you should kind of be spending that kind of money on a chair if you can afford it. Caveat all of that with, like, you don't need to, but if you don't spend money on the chair that supports you, you need to like balance that with doing things like getting up and stretching more often, just to like make sure your body isn't getting fucking destroyed by this lump of foam.
Mattresses and chairs are one of those things I always tell people they need to invest in. And a standing desk if you can too. I've got a standing desk in the office, and I actually prefer it over. I want a standing desk for my gaming rig because after using it in the office, I'm like, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I like to be able to stand up for 45 minutes to an hour at a time, move around.
And like a good one of those, like the company I got mine from is based up in Queensland, I think, like about $1,000. But they're built in a way that like the frame is basically a universal standing desk frame, and you can just swap the top out, and which is what I'm doing. I've got this like corner standing desk, and I've got a new top for it coming next week, which is like a wood. It's actually like wood. It's not this like white laminate finish. So I'm just like making it look a bit better as well. And you know, Didn't need to do that, but I wanted to. But part of the like, I don't know, the way I rationalized spending this much on a fucking chair was it comes with it's like a 12-year warranty, but it's also a like 24/7 warranty. So they don't look at it and go, well, you have to use it between these hours or this many hours per day for it to count. It's just like 12 years. So then if you take the amount the chair costs and divide it by 12, that's how long it's basically expected to last, and it's, whatever that works out to per year. It's it's worth it. It's worth the investment in yourself if you're like me and you work from home and game a lot in the same spot.
Yeah, one thing I learned growing up, kind of without like doxing myself too much, growing up in poverty, is I learned invest for the long term.
Yeah.
It's so easy. For example, it's so easy to go and buy like in Australia, our like cheap brand is Kmart. It's so easy to go buy like a $25 Kmart rice cooker, but when you take into consideration you're going to be replacing that rice cooker probably every 12 months, depending on how much you use it.
Well, also
it's going to add up.
The warranty.
Go get the $300.
Yeah.
Go get the $300 Breville rice cooker or the Breville multi-chef that's like and I do the same thing. I like squirrel away money and I buy something very expensive and people are like, oh, that's so expensive. I'm like, yeah, but I've been saving for years for this and I know it's going to last me most of my adult life.
Yeah, like I was saving for this chair probably for close to a year. And yeah, it was actually incredibly satisfying to be like, cool, done, tick box, money is gone now. And
I worked for it.
But also like,
I earned this.
But it was also kind of fortuitous because I did it right after the new year, and the store that I got it from was just doing like a blanket 10% off Herman Miller products. I was like, this is fucking perfect. So I got like the black on black treatment, which normally would be just over $3,000. I got it for like $2,700.
Nice.
Yeah, and they came and dropped it off and took the packaging away. It's fucking sick.
Hell yeah.
I don't need that. Just have a man carry a chair into my house, which is what happened. And I'm pretty sure he was French. I got a little confused.
Is your chair, monsieur? Like, huh?
Yeah, not that kind of like butler, not like a butler French kind of vibe. It was more like, that hot mid-20s French guy kind of vibe.
I need to reconsider some things when this man leaves.
I'm going to sit in this chair and think about what I did. Yeah, so that's just like interior decorating chat here at Erico Blueberry. What do you say?
Enriching your enclosure with error code.
How about we talk about Destiny?
Dude,
at this point, what are we, like half an hour in?
Really buying into that parasocial cult of personality.
Yeah, let me talk to you about my fucking office.
Let me tell you about where I put my ass.
Yeah, for like 15 minutes. Actually, here's the segue. All right. The other piece of interior decorating I've done, which is Destiny related, I finally hung up the banner that I can put all the like seal pins into, and that is right behind this monitor in front of me. Just by count, how many is that? 1, 2, 3. There's 15 of the motherfuckers in there. Granted, they're not all like title seal pins. Like,
I was gonna say, you're awesome because you also buy a lot of the initiative pins.
Yeah,
as well,
like the true, is it the True Colors one, which is like the
Pride.
The Pride flag with the Bungie fist and the lightning bolt. Then there's the 30th anniversary, fist with the lightning bolt, which is like that giant chunky fucking metal piece. And then one of them is like, I bought this display board that Bungie produced for a bit for them, and it's like this big oversized hexagonal pin that is just like the Guardian crest. And then what are those two? Oh, the Witch Queen Legendary Campaign pin and the Valve the Disciple raid pin. But yeah, there's also a fair amount of the seal titles up there as well. But it's just nice to like have that there as kind of a always on reminder of things I've done, but also things I've done in a lot of cases with a group of friends.
With the homies.
And so, yeah, that's right there.
I definitely want to get the Pride pin, but I think I want to put it on my bag.
Mm,
So that's my next investment. I
yeah,
think is I'm going to try and grab the Pride pin.
they are rather big.
Yeah, they're so well made too,
Yeah,
and it's the inclusive Pride flag, which I enjoy as
yeah.
well. Because I missed out on getting the BLM pin. I was going to buy the BLM pin
Mm,
when they first dropped that.
yeah.
But just missed out on it.
All right.
Yeah.
Destiny. Last time
Destiny.
we talked, we had just basically seen the first week of this current season of the Seraph.
Yeah. And then it was dawning
Yes.
time.
So basically, what we're going to cover is the dawning, the departure of DMG, and the rest of season of the Seraph up till this week. You're all up to date. I'm all up to date.
Reset was yesterday for us, basically.
2 days ago. It's Wednesday
2 days
for us,
ago.
and today is Friday. But for you today, listening to this, we put it out on a Sunday morning. Time zones are stupid.
Time is a concept.
Yes. Time is a man-made thing. It doesn't actually exist. It's not inherent in the universe.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, let me talk to you about entropy real quick. No, we have to talk about destiny. Going from like laws of the universe to the idea of fate. What is happening? So
Paracausality.
yes, yes, it is. I've heard it's the new hotness. But no, last time we talked, we did week 1. There's a fair amount of reveals happening, but you didn't get to do the dawning at all, did you?
I did a 1 week of the dawning.
Yeah, second week, and it was like second week of the season, first week of the dawning. Then your PC died. We couldn't record
because reset happened, and I went, tee I'm gonna get on my PC and go visit the shop because there's something in it made of bright dust that I want. And then my PC said, "Bitch, you thought," and didn't turn on.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All the pieces are now
My cookies.
in place. So the only note that I saw fit to write down on the 14th of December was, how does Finch even eat a cookie? A question that I think was actually asked in game. Like when you go give Finch a cookie, he gives you the big block of text that happens when you first give someone a cookie. So like, hey, thank you. Like, you know, what are human celebrations even? And I think in there is something to the effect of like, what am I going to do with this? Because he's just a floating hive ghost, and you're like, here, have a cookie. Just like, what am
just leave it on the ground on his log.
Yeah.
Just place it on his log.
Or
Like,
just
you go.
giving it to the dead hive knight that sits behind him at all times. Like, I don't know, maybe this will bring you back to life.
I keep the cookies in its carapace.
Oh, I don't want those.
It's like a cicada. He's just putting cookies in the shell of the hive.
But anyway, so Dawning came with a whole bunch of new triumphs for a title of Star Baker, which is incredible. Something that I did earn, and I'll be honest, I got to a point with it and the Dawning where I was baking cookies primarily based on how convenient it would be to give them to someone. So Zavala got a lot of cookies, as did the gunsmith. I did enough to like give everybody one that I needed to for all the triumphs, and then I went, hey, who's nearby? So also Eva Levante got a lot of cookies.
Me last year, just sitting on Europa feeding Barracks cookies.
Exactly. But it was also like the ingredients that I was dropping from doing activities. It meant that I gave a lot to Eva Levante because I just had a lot of what her cookies required. The thing that I very quickly realized, don't give any to the lady that runs the Eververse store, because when you go to give them to her, you give her a cookie, and then it kicks you out to the store menu. And then and it's just like back and forth. Whereas every other fucking character that you give a cookie to in the game, you give them one, and that menu just pops back up to give them another one straight away. I was like, this is just I can't do this. I don't want to have to look at the store every time. Just let me jam these cookies on the desk.
Thank you for this cookie. Have you seen my wares?
Yeah, please spend money. Which, like, it doesn't feel like it's actually.
Know about Church.
It doesn't feel exploitative. It's just more probably just a quirk of how interacting with her goes. But yeah, it was kind of fun. You know, classic Dawning stuff. Nothing's too different there. I am now 3 out of 4 for Revler, which I'm very excited for.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is honestly a shame that like all of that stuff with your PC meant that you are now out of earning that.
The only title I was making a conceited, genuine effort to get, and I get fucked.
Yeah. Believe me.
At least I got to torture you guys every time someone unlocked Star Baker and it popped up in the server. I would just find a Great British Bake Off gift to send to each of you every time you did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember if I ended up gilding Star Baker. I think I did because I just ended up close enough that I was like, well, I've got podcasts to watch. I'll just put those on in the background and bake a bunch of cookies.
Chillybin has gilded Star Baker. Me immediately. Noel Fielding.
Yeah.
Gift.
Yeah, great. Or it's just the one episode with James Acaster because he was like fucking jet lagged to hell.
Put it in the oven. Gave up.
Exactly. But yeah, it was a pretty good time. You know, they had some the story stuff rolling out alongside that, but a lot of it was cookie time.
Cookie time.
Yeah, and they had some kind of neat guns that they released with the Dawning this time around. There was like a stasis pulse rifle, the kinetic pulse rifle that was kind of decent. I didn't really keep any rolls, but there were triumphs that meant I had to use them, and I enjoyed it. And then I went, no, I have better versions of what this gun does. I'm going to just delete this now.
I did that thing where, in the first week, where I could play, where I kept getting a drop of a specific gun, and I was like, I'm not going to break any of these down. And then just at the end of the Dawning, just send a screenshot of my vault to terrorize everyone, like I did.
Well, it was like the thing with Guardian Games was that was the only gun that was dropping from the event itself, and they were like boosting the drop rates, I think at least initially, and so you did end up with 100 of them.
And that's not counting all the ones I broke down before I went,
this will be funny. Yeah.
This really upsets a lot of people in the server that I have so many of this gun.
Yeah. I mean, the difference here was
I lent into that.
Yeah, the difference here was it was, I think, like 5 different guns that you could drop from the Dawning, so it was going to be a bit more spread out.
I'm hoping, like, every single time I read a TWAB in the lead up to a community event, I'm waiting for that, like, golden sentence of they're boosting the drop rate of something in particular, so I can just be like,
or they're
look
just
at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
They put something vague in there of like, and one player weirdly collected 100 of the title, and you're like, that's me, but I bet you someone had more.
Oh, yeah.
One of those streamers that plays 12 hours a day, they were like, let's see how many we can get in these 3 weeks of this event.
Since that one, they've boosted the vault up to 600. So my goal is, if there's an event with a boosted drop rate on something, I'm going to make a conceited
That is
effort.
such a sad way to play the game.
It's not for me, though, because it genuinely upsets people in my life, and that, as a goblin, is my one true cause.
You have so many quests you need to get to.
And I won't, because I know it genuinely triggers you every single time I open my quest menu.
You're right, it does.
I still have shadow keys.
Fuck!
I have all of those essences that I have to get. I won't,
the problem
but
is,
I have them there.
You do enough stuff.
If I get bored,
you do enough stuff on the moon. You just drop another one of those essence quests. Like, I'll do a run through the lost sectors on the moon, and then it's like, here's the essence of brutality or whatever the fuck. I'm like, I didn't want this. This isn't a good gun that I get at the end of this. Go away.
One time when I just decided to stream one day, and I was just streaming Destiny. I think it was when Witch Queen came out. one of my coworkers, he popped the stream on while he was working because we were all working from home at that point, and he said he doesn't have ADHD, but
Bet you do.
watching me play Destiny, he's like, I think that is the closest I'll ever get to experiencing ADHD.
Okay.
Because he was like, every time I looked over, you were off doing something, but like nothing constructive. He's like, what did you do with that 8 hours? And I went, well, I killed moths. And then I went and talked to Varric.
Yep.
And then I went back to the throne world. And then I went and talked to Varric.
Just pure vibe-based Destiny.
He's like, watching you play Destiny is like, I can see into your brain and it's genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, that's what you want to hear from a person you work with.
He's like, this, and my quest page is what my brain looks like. There's just so much going on in there.
Yeah. Anyway,
and I went and talked to Varric.
Anyway, the Dawning is done for another year.
I still have cookies.
Yeah, I need to delete a bunch of shit on my inventory.
I made so many cookies and I cannot get them out.
No, you cannot. Next thing that we missed during our time off was the departure of one DMG from the community management team.
Community father.
Yeah, shout out to a true king among kings. Dude has done some of the most fucking heavy lifting, navigating very, like threading the needle on some very difficult conversations, basically week in, week out for as long as I can remember.
But also being the face of like, well, the associated face of like Bungie's firm anti-racist stance and anti-sexist stance and anti-phobic stances, and then just getting death threats and vitriol just because he said, hey, what if you weren't sexist?
Yeah.
What if you just weren't?
Yeah.
Like, wild concept, but here at Bungie, we think just don't be sexist.
Yeah, a lot of that does also come from folks like Pete Parsons, who I think is the CEO of Bungie, but like DMG also was like one of the most active members of their entire studio on social media, and you do see that reflected in other members of the community management team. But he'd just been at it for so much longer that everybody just kind of looked to him for a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to him. Be very surprised if he sees this, especially because we're like a month out from him announcing he's stepping down. But there were some cool like community efforts to kind of use a hashtag on Twitter to like post a bunch of thank yous and shout outs and cool things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll be sad to see him go. I feel like every week
he's gone at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every week of our server, we had a yo DMG a real one conversation in our Destiny channels.
Because he would just post some shit that is like, I'm not gonna put up with this, essentially. And that's always nice to see, right? There's like within gaming there's so much of like, we don't want politics in our games, but we're very clearly taking a stance by saying that, and so he would just be out there like, no, actually that's a fucked attitude and here's why. Shut up. Stop tweeting.
You don't want politics in your game, but my favorite is him being like, hey, you don't want politics in your game, but your banner on Twitter is Evangelion.
Yep. Do you understand?
You don't want to talk politics?
Do you understand the media you're consuming? I don't think so.
But also, like, my favorite thing about DMG as well is he, like, wasn't afraid to also terrorize the community.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he wasn't afraid to terrorize the big name streamers and poke fun at them and, you know, banter with them.
He had a pretty good sense for the line of, like, what is playful for someone in his position. And the other side of that line is, of course, like, abusing the position or, like, taking a joke too far. And he would always walk right up to that line and be like, ha 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 ha. That's okay, though.
He was also very good at, like, joining in conversations online with those big streamers and being like, hey, maybe you should take a step back.
Yeah.
Hey, you're being a bit aggressive.
Yeah.
And then when shitheads were revealed in the community, he was also not afraid to be like, "Hey, we don't support this.
Yeah, get
They
banned,
might play our
idiot.
game. They might play our game, and we might send them PR, but we don't fucking support this. We don't stand behind what they said or did."
Yeah.
Like he was very quick to be like, "Nope,
Yeah.
no."
Yeah, and I think that's like, if I was going to take anything from him and try to like radiate that out to other people that play this game, is like, you know, streamers that play this game 8 to 16 hours a day are not the community. Like, they're actually a very small part of it. Yes, they're loud and you hear a lot from them, but they have made playing this game their job, which means their relationship to the game is fundamentally different to someone like you or me who has a full-time job and tries to fit this game in around it, right? And that's, I mean, I've always believed that, but it's more that, like, seeing how he would talk about it, it's made me want to push that harder and be like, don't listen to fucking insert streamer name here. Like, they play Crucible all day, 5 days a week. Of course they're going to have criticisms that don't, like, that I don't see or agree with, because I barely engage with Crucible, right?
I think too, a lot of people need to recognize a lot of those opinions of larger creators who made their name, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or Facebook stream, whatever, wherever they stream. They made their name off the back of Destiny, so there's a certain level of entitlement that comes just on a psychological level.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are aware they do it, but the coin flips in where some of these people start to think the game owes them.
Yeah,
because they play it so much and they talk about it so much and people come to watch them play it. They're like, well, the flip side of the coin is, well, now you guys owe me.
Yeah.
And this is why I think this change should happen because of how I play. And it's like, well,
yeah, like the most obvious example in recent memory was when they changed some of the matchmaking algorithms so that you would be matched up against people closer to your skill level, and a bunch of big PvP streamers suddenly weren't stomping every match. It's like, do you understand what this means? You're not as good. You're not as good as you thought you were.
Watching them get their face dragged in the mud isn't fun for the Twitch chat. Chat aren't enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
So you're like, you sure it's chat not enjoying themselves, or you think it's you not enjoying yourself?
And that just tells me maybe they're not actually that entertaining to watch, right? Like, I could go and stream some PvP, be garbage at it, and probably find a way to make that entertaining, because I know that I'm not good, and I accept that because I don't fucking engage with PvP that much. But I'll go and like scumbag it up in some Mayhem or some Team Scorched or Iron Banner or whatever, but like, I'm not going to make my entire life streaming trials and crying and screaming when I don't win, right?
It's the same as, like, prior to the matchmaking. Prior to that, it was when BattleEye was introduced, and a lot of PvP and trials players' channels died because their entire content revolved around.
Yeah.
But it also revolved around them finding hackers. Like, there are a bunch of PvP and trials YouTube and Twitch content creators who their entire video content library was them exposing hackers. And like, sometimes it wasn't even hackers, it was just they were being outplayed. But they couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because all of those hackers suddenly got binned.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of those people actually got binned. And it's like, well, how do you make content anymore if you made your whole personality online? I fight hackers. And now Bungie's like, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We
systematically eliminated 90% of them.
Yeah. Howdies.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just one of those things where he was very good at being like, well, maybe consider this.
Yeah.
I talk to the community. I look at what the community is saying. I filter through that noise.
Yeah.
What if you're not the face of Destiny?
Yeah. And
what if you're not the majority?
That sentiment is something that I'm seeing in the other community managers online, is them going, hey, I appreciate your feedback, but you need to realize that there are a lot of players that this doesn't map to them, right? Like, this is not their experience. We're also listening to them. We're taking feedback in all these places. We might not respond immediately because there's so much of it and it's in so many different places and they're quite a small team. But that doesn't mean they're not, like, keeping an eye on things. And like, if you just take that step back and take that wider perspective, and maybe, I don't know, talk to some people that aren't you and your streamer buddies, or people that like play that game that same way, like you'd realize that, right? It's pretty obvious. It's a huge game. There's so much to it.
There. One thing I'll say that's refreshing is there are a lot of burgeoning,
Yeah.
up and coming Destiny players who are coming up through the ranks, and they have that mindset.
Yeah.
Like, slow down, Captain. This is simply not realistic for the community. And they're very community focused. So they see those bigger names, and as they themselves are starting to get bigger names, they're kind of butting heads with some of these, like, we call them shitheads of the community. They're the bratty child at the back of the classroom of the community.
Yeah, the people
the
that
go, salt of the
people that
community,
go and
if you
do
will.
world first raid races and yell at their teammates. Yeah, we all know the ones.
Oh, you mean the ones that speak down to women who are just trying to help them get partner quicker?
Yep.
So it's like it's refreshing seeing a lot of non-males and non-white males coming up through the Destiny ranks now, and just be like,
yeah,
how about you go just, I don't know, play Fortnite.
Yeah. Do something
play
else.
Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah.
Play a horror game. Do something.
Go and get
and just come back to Destiny
Pass.
later.
It's a great deal, and there's tons of games, and maybe you can just fuck off and play something else.
Yeah, like, how about you take a break and come back to it later?
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying yourself, have you considered just not?
Yeah. And that I guess, like, to try and like give some kind of takeaway is try and lift those people up as well. Like, if you see people that are out there trying to make a name in the community or with their content that are not shitheads, that are, you know, thinking about all the various types of people that play this game, like, give them a boost, give them a like, a follow, etc. This is our contractually obliged period to say like and support us, please. But yeah, like, I've seen enough threads on Twitter of people saying like, I love this game, but the community has turned me off, and now I've given up on this idea of streaming it or even just playing it, right? And that goes down to like LFG communities, it goes down to streamers, it goes down to like all of those groups.
Without like name dropping, I actually saw a really good I had a good conversation actually, and saw a really good discourse online with Log from Destiny Down Under.
Log Power Slave, I believe.
Yeah.
His handle is.
I just call him Log.
Yeah.
And Mylin talking about, hey, Destiny Down Under probably is not going to happen for a while because Log is actively stepping away from Destiny.
And also, I believe Mylin had a kid towards the end of last year, right?
Yeah. So they were like, look, Destiny just isn't doing it for us anymore. Like, Log was like, it's not doing it for me anymore. The community's kind of gone to shit a little bit. But he's like, I'm genuinely not enjoying playing the game. I'm not enjoying the repetition. I'm not enjoying the grind. So rather than play it to a point where I begin to resent the game that I love, I'm just going to step down from it. He goes, I'm probably not going to engage in a lot of Destiny content either. Like, I'm just not going to join in those conversations. He's like, I've got stuff I've got to focus on. He's like, I've got a family. Like, he's like, I'm just not going to play this game until I hate it. And he's like, I don't understand the mentality of people playing this game and they hate it and they keep playing it. I mean, a really healthy conversation came out of that. A lot of like mid-tier streamers and community members were like, look, we're feeling tired too. We'll probably jump back into it at Lightfall, but right now we're just going to play some of our, you know, wish list games or our games that have been sitting in our Steam library for 5 years. Like,
I mean, if I had to guess, and I think you spoke about this before, it's people had their come up playing Destiny, streaming Destiny, and they've done nothing else, and they have a lot of fear associated with the idea of trying to branch out. And like, you don't have to go full variety streamer, but like, if people are there for you, they'll follow you to a different game. Maybe some of them drop off because it's not Destiny, but you might pick up a different audience along the way, right? And
well, even the YouTube creators, people like Bife and Evan, and other, like, there's an Aussie one that I keep forgetting the name of, and I feel terrible. They're even starting to do Warhammer lore videos.
But Bife's been doing non-Destiny lore stuff for quite a while.
But they've been weaving that slowly into their content, so it's not like a hard pivot out of Destiny content into other content. They're just like, hey, so actually, every other week is going to be a
Yeah.
Destiny.
Like
Or
I noticed
now
it.
I'm only making Destiny content when there's a big update.
Yeah, I noticed it I think it was a couple of years ago with Bife, and it was like at kind of this point of a yearly Destiny cycle where like there wasn't a lot happening, and he got like some contract work from some other game that was like, we want you to do this lore thing for us, and he did that, and great, branch out, do other stuff, because if what you are doing is valuable and entertaining, people will gravitate to that. It might not always be the same group of people. I'm not going to go and watch Warhammer lore.
But I like Bife, so I've thrown
Yeah,
his Warhammer videos on in the background while
yeah,
I'm like working or editing content or like
yeah,
cleaning my house. I'll throw like Bife videos on and just let autoplay take over, and like
yeah.
some of them have been Warhammer videos.
And that's kind of the point I was going to make is like Warhammer, like I'm not interested in that at all. So like that is kind of the end of the other end of that spectrum to me. But like there's a whole range of shit that someone like Bife or someone that I follow could do, where I would be like, I like you enough to see what you think about this thing, right? And then maybe that means I find some new interest, or I find some other perspective on the world, right? And that's the power that is what actually being a good creator is. Like, you are entertaining and compelling to watch. This is me now realizing, are we? Just feel like, I don't know, I'm talking out my ass here, but also like that's just, I've thought about the content that I consume a lot and what I give my time and money to, because I support a few things on Patreon that I value and want to see continue. I don't do that for everything though, but that's, I don't watch a lot of like quote unquote mainstream TV or whatever you want to call it nowadays, and I try to find stuff I actually care about and think should exist, and I try to focus on supporting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out
Yeah.
DMG, a real homie.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's said yet what he's going on to do. I would expect he's just going to take some time off, but I will keep an eye on where he goes and what he does, because I'm just interested to see where someone like that would go next. And
I in his farewell, he said he's like, I might give actually making games a go. Like,
sure,
and I was like, that's awesome because he gets to see the other side of the coin then. Or
yeah,
like, I'd expect with all the hard work he's done and his reputation that the moment he said, hey, I'm leaving Bungie, I wouldn't be surprised if other studios are like, hey, you looking for work? Like,
yeah,
hey.
they would be stupid not to, because like I don't like Bungie and the way that they approach community is kind of like top of class, but also he is the top of that top, right? Like there's not many that do it better.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would say it used to be Cosmo until he kind of like went up in the kind of running that team, and then DMG kind of took that spot. But
I'm excited to see where he goes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the game itself. Week 2 of the season, i.e., the first week we missed, was bonus Gambit rank time, bonus infamy. In that week, I got to the point of 4 out of 6 triumphs done for gilding my Dredgen for the 7th time. And then I think it was either the next week or the week after from that, so like week 3 or 4, that I did the rest of it, because it was just I needed to win matches and I needed to get I think it was kills as an invader were like the last 2. And so I think I've now built that habit into myself of like, the first week the infamy boost is up, I'm just going to play a ton of Gambit. I'm going to try and push it as far as I can. I don't feel the pressure to like gild it during that same week, but I want to use those bonus points to try to like reset the rank, because that's one of the triumphs usually. And so yeah, I've gilded Dredgen 7 times. Sorry, 7 out of the 7 times that you could gild it.
I have gotten Dredgen exactly 0 times and gilded it equal amount of times.
Like, getting it for the first time is actually painful.
It's just, And it's like the amount I've helped everyone else get Drujin and then guild it,
Yeah.
and then I'm just like, yeah, the fuckiest of the triumphs are the ones I have left, like the deposit the
Yeah.
most emotes,
Yeah.
don't die, like
Yeah.
that kind of
But
you know.
this season I've been running a heavy melee throwing hammer titan build, running Syntheseps as my exotic armor, which I think it basically just does a ton of extra damage if I'm surrounded. So basically, throw the throwing hammer at someone, I pick it up, it triggers health regeneration, and then I'm surrounded by enemies because I've just gone to pick up my hammer, and then I just stand there and fucking throw it and bounce it off the boss until it's dead. For a while, I was running tractor cannon just to make that go faster. But basically, my build has settled down to shotgun, solar SMG, Xenophage. And Xenophage is just like my gambit utility at this point of like, I'm going to get kills of invaders as an invader, and it's also big damage against everything. Most of it's just throwing hammers, though. Just throw it into a room, dink something, go pick it up, and then just sunspots everywhere. It's a very good time.
I always find it so funny in like anything where I'll run past you and I'll just get that, like the drive-by sound effect of ding 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 of you like bouncing your hammer of shit. Like, oh, Chili's
Or
back
like
on
you're
his
running
bullshit
into
again.
a room and my hammer whizzes past you to like smack a goblin in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so satisfying.
Or just every now and then just you going, my hammer!
Yeah, like if it bounces wrong or I miss a shot and it falls off the map, that is the biggest heartbreak. Because then I've just got to wait for it to recharge like a fucking pleb.
Or the hammer's just on the ground and I run past it. Oh, there's Chili's hammer, and then sure enough, you come and get it.
Sliding through, just like, I'll take that. Dunk. That's so fun.
Oh, it's like me with my solar build. Oh, like both of us settled into solar builds.
Solar's always been my default. I just had to like every season with the new element. I was like, I'm going to do this season.
Never plays. This season, actually, oddly enough, I was thinking about it the other day because I was like, oh, what are we going to talk about in the episode? And then my PC blew up.
Yep.
I was like, this season I have moved to almost like the opposite of what I used to do, because I used to play Arc and Stasis quite a lot. And I used to meme about how much I fucking hated Void and Solar. But like this season, I've been popping, depending on what we're doing, I've been kind of like popping between Void and Solar back and forth.
Yeah.
Because the way I've built my Void build, it's very good at add clear, very good at just, it's all Devour and like Seeker based.
Yeah.
So my grenades have Seekers.
Yep.
My melee is a Seeker. I have Old Gods, the little baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got Devour on top of that. And then I'm running, exotics that feed into that cycle. And then I took that concept and went, what if I did it with Solar?
Mm-hmm.
And then put a whole bunch of aspects on, plus sun braces, plus wells. So now, I think when we were doing heists, like the new ones, it was got my grenade back. Got my grenade back. Got my.
That's a
and
sun.
Just
That's
explosions
how
going.
sun braces works. Yeah.
And then just explosions happening everywhere, and then pairing that with the new submachine gun that when you shoot, it like keeps you airborne.
Oh yeah, I've not used that at all yet.
Airborne kills feed my melee. My melee feeds grenades.
Yes. Okay.
And then when I'm on the ground, my grenades, my melee, and my solar weapons are dropping wells, which are feeding everything, plus my super.
Okay.
Which is why when we did the dungeon Spire, I was getting my well back up so quickly. And it was just because I was in that solar cycle with all my aspects and then how I picked my exotics.
Yeah.
And in the words of one of our teammates the other day, oh, you're actually thinking about the game now. He was like, Meckii made a cohesive thought in Destiny 2. And I'm like,
yeah, it's not just
when I showed him my build.
It's not just well plus Xenophage. It's, there's actually a loop here that you're repeating.
Chaos Reach, Geomags, and Xenophage.
Yeah, well, it's a difference of like Chaos Reach and Geomags is one thing, Xenophage is one thing, but combining airborne SMG, grenades, melee, like that's a build. That's not just an item. I'm so
or
proud of you.
the other one, which I've just called green, which is when I figured out a
Thorn and
loop.
necrotics.
I figured out a loop between void and uh green.
Yeah.
Corruption? Whatever that shit's called. I just call it green.
What do they call it?
Um
I don't know.
we call it yucky.
Yeah.
So my devour slash shatter build, and then necros and either thorn or osmo or osteo on it. And then what it was is my void was feeding my melee. My melee is long distance, so I was able to then make a lot of things green long distance and then pop them with thorn, which spreaded the corruption, which then gave me kills, which fed my melee.
Yep.
Just like green.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I showed someone my build in our team, and he was like, "Oh my god, you're actually thinking."
Yeah, that was
Rude.
like when I discovered the interaction between Taraba and Path of Burning Steps, and became a fucking A10 warthog, just machine gunning shit out of existence with an SMG.
You became a war crime with that build.
Yeah,
I was like, they're about to sanction you.
for those of you that are not familiar with how Titans work, or maybe don't play Titans, so Path of Burning Steps, leg exotic, solar final blows boost solar weapon damage. It's something to that effect. Taraba, exotic solar SMG, which has like an alt fire mode that you have to charge up, which basically speeds the fire rate way up, and the more you do damage, the longer it stays up, but it's got a 30-second countdown. So essentially I would just run through rooms holding down fire on this SMG, which would not only build up the charge of the gun's ability, but would be stacking like bonus damage on solar weapons. And it just got stupid. Like we were doing duality, and I was running
there was some
that.
cursed duality runs.
And I was like, yeah,
I
was just like, you guys go grab the standards. I will literally murder everything else. And I was just standing in that. It's the second encounter where like there's that round thing with the 3 different bosses, but like the middle of the room is this circular arena, and in the nightmare realm there's a big hole, and I was just like doing laps of that, just melting everything. I was like, no, that's all right, I got the bell keepers, don't worry about it.
Like, I have become human napalm.
Yeah, like actually though. So I like throw a grenade and then just SMG, and it still is one of the most satisfying builds to run. I need to get that. So like I've hooked up Dim to my Stream Deck now because there's a plugin for that.
Yeah.
So I can push a single button and it will change my build over to whatever that build is at like the loadout saved in Dim.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I've also got like shorthands that I've got because the screen size on the Stream Deck is very small. So I've got like 2 solar builds. One is just hammers, and then the other is Gambit followed by the hammer emoji because they're slightly different. I've got an arc one that I've just called Punchy, because it's all about using Heart of Inmost Light, which is all about just like cycling abilities to make them all more powerful. And then the Void one that I have on there is just called Frisbees, which is, as you can imagine,
I'm very familiar with the Frisbee build.
Yeah, it's whatever the fucking Doomfang Pauldrons, which gives you an extra shield throw, the Frisbee, and makes that all more potent. I also just have a constant thing on there of both how full my vault is and how full my postmaster is. And shout outs to everyone that builds all of those things because it is very useful.
Yeah, so good.
All right, that's a lot of off track shit. Next note I had, new exotic mission is sick. Operation Seraph's Shield. Also Revision 0, the exotic kinetic pulse rifle that you get, is sick as fuck. And I say that having now upgraded it a few times because I've continued the quest that you have yet to. That gun is a problem. So so the quest, the what is it called? I said it before we started recording.
Seraph Shield.
No. The the like catalyst quest. If
Oh,
you choose to accept it, or
something like that.
words
Yeah.
to that effect. Um, once you get to like the final step of each weekly version of that quest, you have to complete Operation Seraph Shield on Legend, which I've done solo for the last 3 weeks. And it's like it takes me like maybe an hour. I'm just kind of vibing it out. So I know that mission fairly well. I've gone through and found all the little security drones. God, that mission just fucking whips. It feels like a mini DSC.
I did it for the first time last night.
Yes, please
So
tell me, because
just the
I think I've done it like
introduction one.
I think I've done it like 10 times now. Oh, quick question: when you did
Yes.
it, did the voice lines play for you?
Yes.
Good, because that only happened for me the first time I did it. Every other time I've done it, no voice lines whatsoever.
Oh.
Even including when I took
It's
someone else through it for the first time.
They're super interesting voice lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So immediately off the bat, going in, and then I don't. It's not even that long ago, but going up in the pods gave me like a rush of nostalgia. I
But
was like,
also,
oh,
like, you do it, and I kind of forgot where you start the mission from, and then I was like, oh, fuck, we're above Earth.
yeah.
And it took me a moment to realize that until you get up there and you look down, and you see the fucking Traveler sitting there.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, the first time I loaded in with a friend, I was just like, my wife!
She's down there
My big,
now.
beautiful wife! Like, so excited. But then it's almost like a Deepstone Crypt lullaby redux that they play when you do basically the spacewalk.
The music
And
the music is a little bit more sinister in nature. Like, it's a
yeah,
little
but
more
it's still got the
restrained.
piano, the
Yeah.
light piano keys of like. Because when I first went up there, I genuinely thought they were going to, because it starts like Deepstone.
Yeah,
lullaby.
but like 3 or 4 notes in, it immediately goes darker than the
And it's
opening
got like
of Lullaby.
It's more Cynthia. It's less orchestral and more synthy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I got goosebumps and then teared up. And I think I put in the server. I was like, not me doing the Seraph mission and fucking tearing up.
Yeah.
Because like we got to the spacewalk and I heard those first few notes and I was like, because I cry every time we do the spacewalk doing DSC. And I started to tear up, and then the synths kicked in, and I was like, "Excuse me,
What is this?
What?" And then doing the spacewalk and the voice lines happening while you're doing the spacewalk.
Yeah.
And rather than Clovis fucking bleating on, it's Anna and Elsie, or just.
I
Elsie,
honestly can't remember at this point. I've done it so many more times with no voice lines than I have with.
But like just the dichotomy, I guess, of like the DSC, it's Clovis being like, "Hey, fuck you, get out."
Yeah, I'm the big man around here.
And then like the voice lines as you're doing it being like, "Hey, we're going to be okay. Like we're going to do this mission. We're going to get everything we need. We're going to get Red back. Everything's going to be okay. We're in this together, Guardian." And I was just like, "Shit.
Yeah.
My feelings.
Yeah.
My feelings." And just, it's like so cool. Boss, I mean, that was fun. The fact it was like Praxis.
I'm going to be honest, the first time I entered that room, I was like, surely this isn't Tanix. The way it fucking flies in, I'm like, don't you dare.
We're just, every time Tanix comes back, he comes back, they come back smaller because we're just doing more and more damage.
We're just attached to more shit.
Different things.
It was a heavy shank. Now it's a spider tank or whatever.
Brig, ew.
Oh.
Imagine the chunky, thick brig legs and then Tanix.
You know how you have to like shoot a brig before it opens up the crit spot in its chest? It opens up and Tanix just sits in there.
I'm just thinking of it's funny that I say this because we were joking about me looking like Sid from Toy Story. But you said spider tank, and all I could think of was Tanix on top of a spider tank, and then him looking like, the doll's head on top of in Toy Story, just scuttling around like a fucking nightmare.
Yes.
Just Tanix just.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments in that mission that like I still remember the first time I hit them and I was like, yo, this is really cool. Like obviously them introducing all of the augments from DSC again, that was kind of fun. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you're doing this. Like when you first hit that first room with the space
Scanner.
elevators and it's like, here's scanner. I was like, no, you don't. What are you doing here? And then you hit the other two on the way up. Where was I going with this? Oh, the like fake weapon surrender scene in the middle of it, and they're just like, "No, it's fine. We'll send them back to you. Just surrender the weapons." And then when you do the mid boss fight right before that, and it's just like, alert them to your presence, and there's just a bunch of exploding barrels in the middle of the room. You're like, well, I guess I shoot these now.
Yeah.
Just like real fun stuff.
Just oh, our weapons are gone. Time to teleport above the catch, and then like Anna and
Send
Red,
me my guns now.
and then just Anna and being like, "Oh my god, they fell for it.
Yeah.
They actually fell for it." Like, bitch, you weren't confident to begin with. Going in here, you were like, "It'll be fine. Surrender your weapon."
I mean, like worst case, we've got abilities, we've got supers, we'll figure a way out.
We'll just res you. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
But just for her to be like, "No, guys," like her and Elsie being like, "No, trust us. We know what we're doing. It's gonna be fine." And then being like, "Oh my god, they actually bought it." It's
yeah,
like, "Excuse me,
yeah,
me? They were you?
yeah.
Huh? You weren't completely confident, like you said 10 minutes ago that you
Oh
were,
yeah.
huh?
No, never. Always keep them guessing.
Huh?"
But yeah, there's a lot of like cool secrets and little things hidden throughout that mission. The little thing you have to like follow the route in the room full of tiles and like jump over the lasers and stuff. That was kind of cool the first time, and now I've just memorized the floor pattern, and I don't need to look. I just work out which panels to hit, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just go in now. I've done that mission
I
too
think
many times.
when we were doing it, I think I kind of annoyed who I'd ran it with a little bit because as I was going through the room, I was singing the Catherine Zeta-Jones song from Workaholics.
Like thinking about
The dips
entrapment.
between lasers. Yeah. Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes, yes. No, it's a good mission, and like I said, I've run it at least once a week since it came out. Like, it is not boring. Like, I'll try
And
different.
it's super quick once you know what to do.
I mean, the Legend version is not.
Cool. I have to do those.
It's like it's fine. You just have to play it slower because you're power capped at 1580 or whatever it is, no matter what you're running. But there's no like champions to worry about. There's no match game. It's just it kind of you have to take it a bit slower. It's fine. Like I said, I've soloed it what 3 or 4 times now. It's doable. But yeah, the as for the Good Boy Protocol, which is it's a bit of work to hit all those security drones. You have to like get Revision 0, which you need to use to shoot the drones. It's like Sabathun's eyes with Ruinous Effigy. It's like that all over again. There's 50 of them, so it takes a little bit. But like if you go and launch all the heist locations separately, and like you can just get it done with a bit of effort. We will talk about that when you've done it, because I did it last night, and like you will have seen the door in Seraph's Shield that eventually unlocks once you get
Yeah,
a 50.
I tried to open it
Yeah.
and it was like, actually you need heightened security,
Oh,
blah blah blah. I'm like,
it's not even that door. It's like a door with like a whole grid of lights next to it. Anyway, once you do that, you get in there and there's like this whole other section you have to navigate through before you even get to the Good Boy, which is very cool and good, and we'll talk about it when you've done it, because I only did it last night.
I'll try and do it maybe this weekend.
Yeah. But yeah, Seraph's Shield, good stuff.
Yeah.
We are
And
going
then
long, so we should probably very quickly get up to speed on the story stuff.
yes. And then you have to once you do that, they're like, hey, cool. Now we need to I think we had to go to Fellwinter's Peak because we have to
Oh, that was you got to like
we
the
have
temple.
to get you have to get the Iron Lord's temple because you have to get his little ghost fragments and access that. And then the whole time you do that, Osiris goes into his past a little bit, which is interesting,
Mm.
of him training under the Iron Lords. And he's like, yeah, I didn't really get along with them. They're all really stubborn and weird, except for the one warlock. I got along with that one real well. And you're like, I know who that is.
Mm.
And then you touch the ghost and you're like, hello, give me the secrets, because Fellwinter was actually Rasputin, which I forgot because it's been so long since that.
Yeah.
That when Anna said that, I was like, wow, that is a really good that's a really good discovery, Emma. Anna, holy shit, what a plot twist. And Alex was like, Meckii, that was revealed to us in the Fell, because that's why it's called Fellwinter's Lie. And I was like, oh yeah, but that was also like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since then. A giant moth lady came.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. And then Rasputin comes through as Clovis' voice, and he's like, hey, not actually Clovis, it's just I'm using his voice pattern system or something.
Yeah.
Don't trust Clovis. And then a really sick cutscene happens. And basically it's like, hey, turns out Clovis, dickhead the whole time. Just complete dickhead.
Oops, who could have thought?
He was actually going to use me to destroy the Travelers so that he could be like the overseeing, like all-knowing being.
I just wanted to like grab the game and be like, "Did you play Beyond Light?" That was the whole point. Clovis is shit.
Anna, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And then that was a whole big plot twist. And then we go back to the helm, and Anna's holding a gun against the Exo, and Clovis is like, well, if you kill me, you ruin the Exo, and then you can't see red again. And she's like, well, shit, you're right. So here's my spicy ramen engram. And then
they basically reformat the hard drive and install Rasputin on it.
Yeah, like they were just like, guess what? Factory reset.
Yep.
And then deleted him out, and now Rasputin has Clovis's voice, but kind of, because it glitches out and it's very scary. And when it does it, it upsets me.
Yes.
Something off-putting about it glitching. I'm like, oh. And then there's another cutscene where they're all just like, well, we have Rasputin. What now?
Yeah.
And that's all I can remember.
Yeah. And then this week's story was essentially them going, hey, Xivu Arath has this giant army but is sending fuck all of it to fight us. That doesn't make any sense, right? And then...
oh, yeah, because Mara Sov comes in and she's like, hey, so my Techians just realized something.
Yeah, and the revelation...
Xivu being sus.
the revelation essentially is like, Xivu Arath, like god of war, basically, her worm feeds on death and war. So they work out that she's essentially intending to build up this giant army to act as a blood sacrifice that she will send against the Warmind and all of the war sats once we get them, and just let them die because her worm will get stronger either way. And the result of that is them going, what if we just get just enough and it results in a stalemate? And then no worm growth for you. Actually, keep the compost at home.
But also the underlying conversation of like people being like Zavala being like, how the fuck can we trust Rasputin? Because he started off as Clovis AI, like he started off as a Clovis invention that you fostered into an active AI, like a living, breathing active AI. And Anna's like, no, I know him really well. He's actually super great and super nice. Daddy, no, chill. And then that's led me to believe, like, I think Anna wants to kiss the rabbit.
Maybe.
I think Anna might love Red a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was...
but also now he has her dead granddad's voice. Yeah, so.
one of the cutscenes was sort of about how she taught Rasputin about human culture and arts and history, and that's why I think she trusts him, is that he doesn't just understand, like, game theory and war.
He likes ballet!
Yeah, it's like, he understands, like, what value humans produce in cultural artifacts, or whatever way you want to write that philosophy thesis. But, like, it's more than just Team A versus Team B. It's like, Team A actually has sick anime. We need to protect them. And I think that was kind of what it came down to. Is like it's not just that he's a weapon of war. He also like kind of understands what he's fighting for in a sense. Like yes, we built
He
him, but
thinks and he feels,
yeah,
and maybe even loves.
yeah. And then that conversation happens in Zavala's office, which is nice to go back there for a reason.
Mm.
And then you go talk to Rasputin. He's just like, I've never had to think about this before. Please give me some time, i.e., a week until the next mission. And also, it's important to point out, based on the triumphs at least, we've only got one more week of story.
Yeah.
So, given that this is leading into Lightfall, I have no idea what next week's story is going to entail. All I will say is the last couple of weeks they've been sprinkling the name Nefele Stronghold in there, which has been a long, not rumored feels like the wrong word, but it's long been a name that has popped up on like the Raid Secrets subreddit as like, oh, we found this in some game code or an API endpoint, and people think it points to the Neptune stuff that Lightfall is heading towards, and like that name has been around for a bit.
I like how the writers kind of ran it that parallel in the game, but used it in the context of, oh, I've seen this show up when Red has been running diagnostics a few times,
Yeah.
or Red has referred, or Rasputin has referred to this a few times, but with no context or no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
And knowing that Raid secret stuff, it's like, it feels like it runs parallel with, hey, we know you guys got into the code and figured that out. So we're going to write in that it was actually Red who was referencing that.
Red
to kind of be like, hey, to act, oh god, I don't want Rasputin giving the attitude of a Redditor. No, thank you.
No.
Just kind of running that parallel and being like, hey, what if it wasn't you actually hacking the code? What if it was Rasputin just referencing it in the code? Like,
what if it's actually nothing?
Quirky Rasputin things.
You know, what'd be funny is like we get to Lightfall, we go to whatever the Neomuna, the location on Neptune, and like Nefele Stronghold is just a lost sector.
It's a
nothing.
Toilet.
It's nothing important. It's just a lost sector.
It's a toilet. The Neomuna people call their toilets Nefele.
No, they call it
toilet.
They call it the Nefele Stronghold. It's a whole.
Yeah.
They don't poop
like,
off.
You see the size of those cloud striders?
Yeah, they don't poop often, but when they do, they need a stronghold.
You've seen the size of those striders.
Step on me.
They're technically 10.
Oh. Anyway, let's get out of here before I indict myself further. That's a very quick, like, I don't know, 5-10 minute wrap up.
A Meckii recap
on 6 weeks of story that you've seen in the last 2 days. But hey, we're up to date now. What do you want?
Now we're just edging. We're edging Zivu. We're edging ourselves. Who gone bust first?
That is such a weird way to describe
a stalemate.
Yeah, like a wartime stalemate. Is
intellectual edging.
It's two armies edging each other.
Yeah, who gonna bust first?
I don't love it. But I get it. Okay. Let's get out of here because this has been like probably an hour and a half by the time I edit it down. But it's been good. It's been good to get back to it.
We'll play more Destiny.
Yeah, you've got some catching up to do. And I've got some...
I'm going to get a whole bunch of pinkles just to get remotely up to level.
I've got some dinner to eat. Anyway, Erico Blueberry is back for a new year.
Hello.
We've got a new expansion coming up in...
a month? Just over a month.
Yeah, a month and a bit, which is...
month and 2 weeks.
Frightening, but exciting. It's going to be good. Yeah. Like and subscribe, etc. We'll be back next time. Who knows whose PC is going to blow up next?
Not mine again, please.
God. Well, like you've got a warranty.
$2,500 in the hole.
Yeah, you got
please
a warranty you can claim at least, so that's something. But hey, I'm glad we're back. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad Destiny exists and we can play it.
I'm proud to be the chaotic element in some of y'all's lives.
And I will continue to put up with it. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
As if it's not by choice.
Oh, don't make me answer that. Bye.